The biggest trade rumor of the NHL offseason just dropped like a bomb, and the shockwave is heading straight for Montreal. Dylan Larkin, Detroit's captain, a player whose name alone commands attention in every hockey market on the continent. And according to Jeff Merrick and Max Bultman on the sheet, the Montreal Canadiens are sitting at the very top of the list of logical landing spots. Stop everything you're doing, Habs Nation, because this one is real. Let's establish exactly what is happening in Detroit before we talk about what it means to Montreal. Because context is everything when a franchise-defining trade rumor surfaces with this kind of credibility. Todd McClellan is facing the genuine possibility of opening training camp without his captain, Dylan Larkin, the centerpiece of Detroit's rebuild, the player around whom the Red Wings constructed their entire identity as they climb back toward relevance, is now the subject of an expanding trade market. That does not happen by accident. Trade markets expand when conversations between a player's camp and a franchise have stalled, when contract discussions have reached an impasse, when the relationship between a star player and his organization has developed fractures that public statements cannot fully conceal. The details of exactly why Larkin and Detroit find themselves at this crossroads matter less right now than the reality of where they are. He is available, the market is real, and the Montreal Canadiens, according to two of the most credible voices in NHL media, possess the clearest and most compelling roster need of any team that has surfaced in these discussions. Think carefully about what Larkin actually represents as a player, because the production numbers and the leadership qualities demand full appreciation before the trade cost conversation begins. Dylan Larkin is a complete center. He drives a scoring line with genuine top-six offensive production. He brings the skating speed that the modern NHL rewards above almost every other physical quality. He is captain of franchise through a rebuild, carrying the weight of an original Six Cities expectations while developing into one of the most respected leaders in the sport. He wins critical faceoffs. He creates power play opportunities. He absorbs defensive zone assignments that protect his team's most dangerous offensive players. He does, in short, everything that a true second-line center in a Stanley Cup contending lineup is supposed to do. Now place him directly beside Nick Suzuki and ask yourself honestly what that pairing means for Martin St. Louis and the Montreal Canadiens. The matchup problem that opposing coaches face when preparing against Montreal suddenly becomes a genuine nightmare. Right now, the best defensive pair on every team that plays the Canadiens gets deployed overwhelmingly against Suzuki's line, neutralizing the most dangerous unit and forcing the second line to generate offense against quality opposition. That is a fundamental limitation that has defined Montreal's offensive structure and partially explained why the second line has been an organizational obsession all summer. Larkin eliminates that limitation entirely. A second line centered by Dylan Larkin is not a line that opposing coaches feel comfortable ignoring. It is a line that demands a deployment of legitimate shutdown resources, which means those resources are no longer available to concentrate exclusively against Suzuki and Caulfield. The entire offensive structure of the team transforms, becomes more dangerous at every level, creates problems that cannot be solved by simply allocating the best defensive pair against one unit and hoping the rest holds. Imagine the conversation in an opposing coach's office tonight before playing Montreal. Your best defensive center goes against Suzuki or Larkin. Your second defensive pair handles whichever elite center they don't face. Your third pairing is somewhere on the ice against Ivan Demidov's line. There is no good answer in that conversation. Every deployment creates a vulnerability that an offense as skilled and as deep as Montreal's will identify and exploit. That is what Dylan Larkin means for the Canadiens, not just a center. A structural transformation of the team's offensive threat level that reverberates through every lineup decision every opponent makes for an entire season. The face-off dimension adds another layer that deserves specific acknowledgement. Montreal's center depth behind Suzuki has been an organizational concern, and face-off reliability in critical situations remains one of the most underappreciated factors in playoff hockey. Larkin in the dot during a defensive zone draw in overtime of a Game 7 is a profoundly different situation than the alternatives currently available in the organization. That difference is the difference between winning and losing championships. Now, the trade cost. Because no honest conversation about acquiring Dylan Larkin can avoid the price tag, and the price will be significant. Detroit cannot replace its captain with a package built around distant futures and modest prospects. The Red Wings need immediate NHL help alongside premium young talent. Steve Yzerman, or whoever holds a general manager's chair in Detroit during these discussions, will not accept a collection of mid-tier picks and depth players for a player of Larkin's caliber and contract status. The asking price will be aggressive, uncomfortable, and potentially the subject of intense debate within Montreal's front office. Merrick and Boltman specifically noted that any real deal likely requires immediate NHL contribution, premium young talent, or both. For Montreal, that means a conversation starts in a place that demands genuine sacrifice. Names like Alexander Zborowski, names that appeared in the Marchenko discussions, could resurface here at a higher price point. A first-round pick, perhaps 2 picks across, multiple years, an NHL-ready player who can contribute to Detroit's roster immediately rather than developing in the system for another 2 seasons. Kent Hughes has built this organization with extraordinary patience and financial discipline. He has accumulated assets, developed prospects, maintained cap flexibility, and refused to be rushed into transactions that surrendered future value for short-term gain. Every decision has been calculated, deliberate, and oriented towards sustainable championship contention rather than a single desperate push. But here is a critical question that the Larkin situation forces into the open. Is there a point at which patient asset management becomes its own form of failure? Is there a moment in the development of a championship window when the general manager must look at the roster, assess the gap between where the team is and where it needs to be, identify the specific player who closes that gap most decisively, and make the bold, aggressive, costly move that separates franchises that win championships from franchises that make deep playoff runs and return home disappointed? The Eastern Conference final loss provided the answer. Montreal is good enough to compete with the best teams in the league. They are not yet constructed to beat them when it matters most. The second-line center void is the most visible, most analytically supported, most consistently identified limitation on this roster. Dylan Larkin closes that void with an authority that no other available player matches. The competing interest from Boston and Philadelphia actually works in Montreal's favor in one specific way. A real bidding situation with multiple credible suitors forces Detroit to engage seriously with every offer and potentially creates leverage for the team willing to be most aggressive. Hughes has never been afraid to walk away from transactions where the price exceeded his assessment of value. But he has also demonstrated the willingness to be decisive when the right asset becomes available at a price the organization can justify. Larkin's contract protection and his ability to influence his destination adds complexity that cannot be ignored. He can block certain trades, and his preference for landing with an Eastern Conference contender offering a clear playoff path appears to be a genuine priority based on how the situation has developed. Montreal, coming off an Eastern Conference final appearance, built around a young core that is entering its prime collectively, with a passionate fan base and a franchise history that resonates with serious championship contenders, offers exactly the destination that a player in Larkin's position should find compelling. The recruitment conversation matters enormously. Kent Hughes and Martin St. Louis would need to paint a picture of Montreal's trajectory that convinces Larkin this is not merely a lateral move, but a genuine opportunity to compete for the Stanley Cup alongside a young, ascending core that will contend at the highest level for the next several years. That picture, honestly told, is a persuasive one. Boston offers tradition and a familiar Original Six stage. Philadelphia offers a rebuilding situation where Larkin becomes the central piece of a new competitive identity. Neither of those destinations offers what Montreal offers, an already contending roster with a legitimate championship window open right now, combined with a long-term organizational stability and young core depth to sustain that window well into the future. So, Habs Nation, the moment of maximum organizational ambition has arrived. Should Kent Hughes make the boldest move of his tenure as general manager, surrender the premium assets that Dylan Larkin's acquisition demands, and transform the Montreal Canadiens from Eastern Conference finalist into genuine Stanley Cup favorite? Or does the price represent an unacceptable risk to the long-term foundation that has been so carefully constructed over the past 5 years? Drop your answer in the comments below, because this is the most important trade conversation of the entire offseason, and your voice matters in this debate. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay locked in because the Dylan Larkin story is moving fast, and when it breaks, you need to be here for every second of it. We are in this together, Habs Nation. Through every bold decision, every calculated risk, and every glorious moment of this relentless pursuit of Stanley Cup number 25. Go Habs go!